What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here. And what I got for your face balls today is a group of knives that I am sending over to Kurt at jcoolg19. If you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel, do so. He's got a legitimate HRC or Rockwell hardness tester, and he's doing a bunch of knife testing. And so these are the knives that I am going to be sending to him. I'm actually filming this on Sunday, and I'm going to send these out on Monday. So what we've got here is we have the brand new Tepe Designs Hornet 2 in M390. So this should be a really exciting one to take a look at. We have the Real Steel Harrier. This is a Carson design. You can see that right there. And I don't know if it shows. Oh yeah, right here on the flipper tab. If you can see it right there. This one's in 204p. So this is a really interesting knife. So we've got M390 204p. And then over here, we've got the Guardian Tactical Recon Elite. Big badass knife in Elmax. We also have got the Giant Mouse Clyde, also in Elmax. And then we have got the Case CG01. This is the Case Southern Grind collaborative knife, CG01. And this is in S35VN. You can see right there. And then we also have got a Todd Begg. This is a SteelCraft Bodega. And this is also rocking S35VN. So those should be really cool. And then we have the Kaiser Sheepdog XL. This one is in, hopefully you can see it there, 154 cm. We have, this is actually my wife's mini Griptilian. This is an old model, and it is also rocking 154 cm. And this is one of the good ones that has the really nice hollow ground sheep's foot blade. Just a beautiful little knife. I wish they still made them like this. And then we've got three budget guys down here on the bottom. All these are rocking the same blade steel. We've got the Harnds Assassin in 14C28N. We have the Real Steel Griffin, or what I refer to as the Portax, also 14C28N. And then we have the, this is the TwoSun TS185, I'm pretty sure. This is the razor comb, kind of a goofy thing. But it's got a beautiful hollow ground blade that's very, very thin behind the edge. And it too is 14C28N. So I'm really sending this guy just because it's got some really nice flat area here that Kurt will be able to get onto. And yeah. So should lend itself well to test a newer model of TwoSun's 14C. So anyway, I've got all these laid out, and I'm going to start getting rid of some of these because several of these we are going to actually disassemble. So the ones that, and this one, I'm just not going to do it on camera because I just posted out a disassembly video, but these knives right here are all going to be disassembled, and basically Kurt's just going to do the blades because I want to make sure that none of these have divots in a location where you can see them. You know, of course, it's not going to hurt anything, but you know, these are kind of pretty knives, if you will. And as for the Guardian Tactical, there's really not a lot of space up here, so you'll see in a minute that we'll have a lot more room once I pull this guy apart. So we're going to, like I said, so these are the four that we're going to do here. I'm going to disassemble all four of these knives and just tear them down. And like I said, I'm going to send the blades to Kurt. This particular one is super cool. This is a really, really interesting knife, the way it's built. It has a double detent and sealed double row ceramic ball bearings. It's really cool. Totally different than anything else I've ever seen before. However, before we get started here on the disassemblies, I want to throw this guy out here. So for those that don't know, Kurt over at J Cool has a lovely wife, and her name is Beth, and she does these really great hanks. She sent this one to me a while back with another batch of knives that Kurt sent back to me, and you can see here I've been carrying it, so it's not perfectly flat, but that's just because my ass isn't perfectly flat and I carry it in my back pocket. So anyway, these hanks are really, really well made. You know, she does some cool stitching and does all sorts of different patterns and all kinds of stuff, and she'll also do embroidery, which is also really cool. But this right here is her Instagram, and so if you would go over and give Beth a follow at Mrs. J Cool, I would certainly appreciate it, and I know she would as well as Kurt. So you can follow her and also follow Kurt and check out his YouTube channel. Like I said, J Cool G19. And then the other thing I wanted to let people know about is I finally got some stickers here. These stickers are the same dimensions as a business card. So exactly the same dimensions. So it's like, I think they're 2 by 3.5 or something like that. Whatever standard size is for a business card. And, you know, they're cool stickers. Yeah, so my wife just designed these up really quick. So if anybody would like some of these stickers, I've had a few people hit me up. I did put a picture out on Instagram the other day of these stickers. If anybody would like some of the stickers, I'm going to charge $1 a piece for them, really just to cover the cost of shipping. You know, that way I'm just kind of breaking even on the deal. I'm not trying to make any money off this or anything, but if you do want some stickers, that's cool. You know, if anybody buys a knife from me, you know, I sell a lot of knives and whatnot, so, you know, they'll be getting some of these from now on. And I think we're going to work on some different designs and stuff, but for right now, this is what I got. So if you do want any of these, hit me up, and you can hit me up either here on YouTube or on Instagram, OCD for EDC, in both places. All right, now that we got that out of the way, I guess let's start. I'm going to start with the OTF. So this guy is rocking T6 Torx screws all the way around on the body, which is fine. OTFs are, I actually have a disassembly video on this knife already out there. So if you really want to get into the details of how this thing is put together and how it operates and whatnot, you can go check out that video. I really, you know, talk about it a lot and kind of show in detail exactly how this OTF works. And most OTFs are work under the same principles. You know, the parts and pieces might be slightly different, varying from brand to brand, but for the most part, they're all the same in the way they function. Even the deadlock, you know, still functions in the same way. It just has a little different assembly at the front where it wedges the blade into two directions. So let's go ahead and get this guy off of here. Must not have one of those screws all the way out. So you can see the switch already fell out. And this is what makes Guardian Tactical so cool, are the 3 ceramic balls underneath the switch. And then I'll show you here in just a second the hardened steel plate that the 3 balls ride on. You can see the marks there that they're leaving on that plate. You know, on Microtex, you just got the riding on the aluminum surface, and, you know, not that that's a horrible thing. This is just a little bit nicer. So you can see the little dogs that catch the blade in both directions. So in order to get the blade out of this guy, I'm just going to depress this one, and we'll slide the blade out just like so. And because the top's not on it, the blade's just going to come right out the end. So I am going to put all the parts and pieces back in this guy, because it's going to be sitting here for a handful of days without the blade. I just want to make sure I don't lose anything. So I'm going to put the switch back in. Oop. you know what? I'm just going to do this off camera just for the interest of time. I'll do the reassemblies of the handles off camera. Okay, so on this Guardian Tactical, you can see here, this is the piece that sticks up that actuates and catches the little dogs that keep it either retracted or out. So that has to come off. And got a couple screws here, I think. Yeah, they are T9. So let's get these guys out of there. And this knife is extremely well made as far as OTFs go. Guardian Tactical does a really, really great job. The machining on it is really spectacular. And this is, you know, the same for Recon 35s or the Recon Elite. So there you go. This is what the blade looks like out of a Guardian Tactical Recon. So now you can see we've got a lot of flat area here to work with, and all of it will be hidden, you know, inside the knife after Kurt pokes it a couple of times. So there's the Guardian Tactical blade. And move this hardware. All right, so the next one, we're just going to go kind of in order of how easy they are to get apart. The next one here is the Case CG01, and those look like T6 as well on these body screws. Ooh, no. Actually, I think those are going to be... That's interesting. So the T6 it just doesn't seem like it's fitting in there very well. I'm sure those are T6. Huh, that screw's just... Yeah, alright. Well, I don't know why that felt so strange, but it certainly did. Sorry about that, guys. I was kind of caught off guard there. I haven't taken this knife apart since I got it back from Case, and those two screws were loose. Not a huge deal, but just kind of caught me off guard there. So... this is a knife I really, really enjoy the look of. It's a beautiful knife. And you can see, there we go, it's all coming apart. And there's the backspacer there by Southern Grind. Now, to my knowledge, and I don't know this 100%, but from what I understand, this blade is, well, I know that it's not made by Southern Grind. That's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what the HRC numbers are on this blade, because I am pretty positive that it is actually manufactured by Case themselves. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And, you know, I was under the impression when I first got this knife that this thing was all manufactured by Southern Grind, but that is actually not the case. Pardon the pun. But yeah, so this thing is you know, parts of it were made by Case, parts of it were made by Southern Grind, and there you go. So there we go. We got the S35VN blade out of the Case CG01, and now we're moving on to the SteelCraft Bodega. Really cool knife. And let's get this guy opened up. Now, this guy, I know for a fact, rides on IKBS. So, we are going to have some loose balls to deal with in here. Not the end of any worlds, but, you know, something to be aware of if you're not familiar with the IKBS, you know, just be prepared, because they are not caged bearings. So, yeah. I guess enter at your own risk, if you will. So here we go. Right on. So there you go. There's the ceramic IKBS balls in the SteelCraft Bodega. And again, you can see that we have just plenty of area for Kurt to be able to poke this guy. You know, we've got a really large area between the detent track and where the bearings actually ride. So, and there's the little IKBS logo right there on the flipper tab. But we've got a ton of space in there between those two friction spots there where the detent track and the bearing track is. So really cool, and should be a lot of fun to check out that blade and see what we're working with there. So like I said, there you can see the IKBS loose ball bearings. So I will deal with that off camera and get that thing secured. The hardware on that SteelCraft Bodega is really, really nicely done, which is really cool. Okay, so that leaves us with this guy right here. This is the Real Steel Harrier. And like I said, it's a Carson design. It's an older model, a little bit older. Really cool knife. And if you hear this, check this out. So it's got a double detent. Certainly has a sound all of its own. And if I do it slow, yeah, you can. I'm really trying hard here to fail it, but you can hear it's kind of funny the way it sounds. But definitely an interesting knife, and because of this machined fuller that's in the blade, you can, well, normally I can. There you go. You can Spidey flick it, a little harder to do on camera. And you can also, thumb flick it and that sort of thing. 204P, all titanium. You've got a couple of carbon fiber inlays. Just really nice knife. This is certainly one of SteelCraft's higher end, or SteelCraft. This is certainly one of Real Steel's higher end knives. And I can't remember what they called these. There was a series name for them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But you can see here we've got a proprietary pivot. And this thing does, now I just put it on this SMKW keychain here, but it does ship with this proprietary tool. And you've got the little 3 prongs there with this kind of knurled cap. It's a nice little tool. It's stainless steel. It's pretty heavy. But yeah, nice little thing. Now, you do have all these stainless pins in the back. They're just there for aesthetics. It does make the disassembly a little bit more involved because of that. But like I said, this this thing is quite an interesting knife because of the way it is put together. The bearings, especially on this thing, are very, very interesting. So I just thought it'd be a cool thing for you guys to see. This is not one that you really hear much about, or at least I haven't, or see much on. So, all right. There's our pivot screw. And then this is, looks like T6 on the pocket clip. And then T8 on the body screws. Okay, so one of the pocket clip screws is longer and is also going through a standoff for the back spacer. And then you've got this T8 screw right there. And that should be it. So, here we go. Oop. So you can see here that you've got a threaded insert, which is really, really nice. They actually put a stainless steel insert instead of having that second pocket clip screw thread right into titanium. So that's a pretty cool detail there, that just, you know, the attention to detail and the quality. And here, check out the double detent setup. Really, really interesting. Really different. You can see that they're at different heights, or you know how far the ball sticks out from the lock bar. And the one ball is ceramic, and it is made into the over travel stop and lock bar insert. And then the other one actually has a machined area and has its own holder for the ball. Just really, really interesting, and just a lot of, you know, kind of really fine detailed work went into this knife. You can see the holes here with all these little stainless steel pins. And yeah, it's just a super, super high quality knife. And here are, well, let me get this out. So here's the back spacer. You do have a little lanyard deal in the back spacer. And then here are the little stainless steel pins that, like I said, they're just there for aesthetics. And I'm just going to pop those out and set them off to the side. And what I really want to show you are these bearings, because they are interesting. So here is what you see from the top here. I'm going to turn it up. And then this is what you see from the side. So, oop, I lost the stop pin there. Stop pin fell out. And then you can also see you can see the detent track right there, and then the two holes for the detent balls. So it's quite interesting. But let me see if I can pull this washer. Well, the whole assembly. Oh, it's upside down. So check that out. Those are dual row ceramic ball bearings, and they are loose. You can pull those out, and that little bearing cage, or that aligns the balls, you can see that little piece of, it's very, very thin piece of stainless steel, has got little cutouts in it to align those tiny ceramic balls. And so this is all sitting in a cup, and there's two races, or two tracks cut in the bottom. I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to pull the blade up here. There we go. Oh, actually, the bottom one is coming apart, or one of the balls stuck to the bearing race. I'll show you right there. So I'll actually pull that one apart so you can see it. But for right now, I'm going to set that guy right there. So there's the blade. And the bearing race that's on this side, you can tell, I don't know how easy it's going to be to see, but there's actually two tracks milled into that washer that line up with the two rows of bearings that are inside this little bearing cup. Oop. See, I just had that one come out and stick to my finger. So in the interest of only taking one of these apart, I'm going to go ahead and place this ball back in here with a pair of tweezers. And I'm going to close this one up with the bearing race. Just like so. Oop. Alright. This one, however, I will go ahead and pull it apart so you guys can check it out and see all the parts that make up. The other thing that's kind of interesting, I don't know if you can see it or not, but they actually did, it's almost like rifling on a barrel, but it's on the outside of this pivot, so it's kind of like threading, but it's very, very faint, and it's very largely spaced. And that's there just in case you do get any dirt or debris in the pivot, that it has a place to get caught into so it doesn't destroy your action. And like I said, the attention to detail and the quality of this knife is really spectacular. So I'm going to take this bearing cup and pull it out of the knife. And then I'm going to attempt to take the balls out. And that way you'll be able to see the uh-oh. No, there it is. That thing went flying when I kind of shot out. This is actually a little bit more difficult or tedious than straight up IKBS. Just because on this particular one you've got multi-row, and I have dealt with a few multi-row IKBS knives, but this one here is a little different because you got this cup that they sit down into, and then you have this little track that they have to line up with, and then the little cage. So there you can see, hopefully you can see all the little ceramic balls, as well as this is the little bearing plate that keeps all of the balls aligned. So really cool, and it's super thin, little like laser cut or water, it's probably water jet cut actually, stainless steel. And then you've got this right here that matches the other side race. So you've got those two tracks milled in both sides, and which makes the action on this guy really stellar. So between things like the insert, so you don't have threads going into titanium, the extra milling on the pivot to keep dirt and debris from screwing up your action, and then this insane bearing setup, as well as the double detent. The real steel Harrier is just the attention to detail, and just, it's amazing. Unbelievable how much thought and work went into this knife. You can see right here, this particular one is number 151. I don't know how many of these they made. I don't think they're still in production, but I'm not 100% sure on that. They are 204p, and I'm really hoping that they took as much care and attention while heat treating and hopefully cryo quenching this blade. But we're going to find out. So I'm going to send all this to Kurt, and all this stuff is shipping out tomorrow, Monday. And hopefully you'll see a video very soon on Kurt's channel that will show the results of all these knives, and hopefully they're all really done well. That's my hope. Anyway, guys, check out Beth and the awesome hanks that she's doing. Mrs. J Cool, she does great work. Kurt, just awesome people. Kurt and Beth both just fantastic people. And yeah, it's great to have people like that in the community and part of this whole thing. So really awesome, guys. Thanks so much, and thanks for all your support. Check out the links below. Got some gear and whatnot, and I actually have a giveaway that's ending later today, and hopefully, yeah, somebody's gonna walk away with a really cool TwoSun knife. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you next time.